that I don't have the thing that I always want. So I'm trying to be a little bit more thoughtful in the year of 2026 of how it is that I'm enjoying hookah. But the thing that I've been really enjoying as of right now is a flavor that I used to enjoy a lot, and I've gotten back into it, which is actually Tangier's cream soda, and then I mixed it with cane mint as well. I've been a big fan of cream soda when I originally got it, and then I kind of forgot about it. And when I was like cleaning out, doing the normal kind of like shuffle of getting everything reorganized for the beginning of the year and stuff, I found an unopened bag of cream soda, and I was like, ah, I've hit the jackpot. So I've been enjoying a lot of cream soda. I've done a few different mixes with it. I'm using a clay core bowl as well, and I'm using the Lotus Plus, using a Lotus 3 lid when I have the opportunity to throw the lid on top of it, and I'm using some coconut charcoal, and I'm using the Euphoria system, but I'm using this new piece right here with the attachment so it's easier to fit bowls on top of it and everything. I just got this in recently. I really like the tray. The ashtray is really nice because the old one didn't really have an ashtray. I try not to ash too much anyways, but still, yes, I'm smoking. I'm going into way too much detail. I'm excited. I haven't seen a camera in years, so I don't even know what I'm doing right now, basically. But I am smoking cream soda, cane mint, Tangiers. That's my setup.
Matt, you belong on camera, my friend. Yeah, really well. Well done. Mike, what about you, buddy? What are you drinking? What are you smoking?
Really simple mix. It's not even a mix. I just loaded up Sapphire Crown dried plum, and that's it. And I have the Gold Lotus on here. I have the new Chi Tall Ball on here, and I have 4 coals in here because I'm actually using the filter today. So
beautiful. So at Kaloud, we've been experimenting with like different pack methods, and you know we have a group chat where we're constantly like sharing photos and talking about different pack methods. So I'm going to explain not just what I'm smoking, but how I packed it, in case anybody wants to try and replicate. It doesn't have to be these flavors, but you can definitely try it. So I have trifecta Earl Grey on the bottom, very very thin layer. It's almost like a very thin carpet of trifecta Earl Grey. And then on top of that, I have half Apocalypse Jungle and half Apocalypse Hot Beirut, which are 2 of my favorite flavors in blonde leaf. They're really, really good. On the top, I have some Tangiers grapefruit and some Tangiers mango, and a little bit of the must-have lemon lime. So it's like 3 different layers of tobacco. I'm smoking out of the tall Chi bowl as well, using a Gold Lotus 1+3. And you know, one of the things I love about the bowl is kind of watching, because it is a porous bowl, watching the bowl kind of like breathe, and in the beginning it will sweat a little bit. So I'm watching it kind of like sweat on the outside, which tells me that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to be here with you guys, kind of having this experience. And Matt, thanks for being this week's guest, man. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate being offered and invited onto it. I got a little bit of a confession to make. I haven't smoked as many bowls as I usually do, but I'm a hardcore, I like foil on my bowls. I have a very particular way of smoking, and ever since really adapting to the Kaloud 1 Plus system, I've only used Kaloud HMDs for the entire year so far. I know we're only 13 days in, but this is quite a big adjustment and change for me. Towards the end of the year, I was only using the Kaloud system as well, and I've really enjoyed it a lot. Pairing it with the filtering system and stuff, like I've really enjoyed the sessions that I've been getting in such a different way and appreciating it in a different way as well. So like it's something that's very new to me, but it is a difference that I've really noticed in a lot of ways, especially using the filtration.
Matt, sorry to cut you off, but I was just curious because I know you just got the 2.0 upgrade for your Altheria, and I think you were alluding to it, but I wanted to clarify. What is the difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0 in your mind?
Well, the biggest difference is being able to use bowls in a different way. Now, this is the first time that I got it, and I do have a nice collection of core bowls in general, so those are the first ones that I will usually use upon smoking. But I do like the fact that this has a more regular stem, a more regular up stem and stuff like that, so you are capable of using the more regular collection of bowls that you might already have. I usually do a rotation of the core bowls, and then I'll use my Simceris bowl as well. And having the availability to use this with other bowls when I travel and things like that is definitely going to be a nice benefit. But overall, the biggest difference is just the fact that I also have this ashtray on it as well. And I'm an aesthetic person. I know Kaloud has a very large love of aesthetics as well, as I've already pointed out already. But yeah, I do enjoy the upgraded difference to this system in comparison.
Nice.
Beautiful. Gentlemen, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I just want to quickly show everyone that's watching us how to set up a Calix 2.0 that's right in front of me. And I'd like both your input and your questions to me as I'm setting it up. But of course, here we have a Calix. I'm going to show both live streams. We're live both on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram. There is a Celestia breathing light, which is an LED breathing light, one of the most advanced in the world. This one will literally breathe with you as you're smoking. So we're first going to rinse off, clean everything, and put our Celestia in there. There's this little guard. Reza, you want to talk a little bit about this little guard that I'm showing, this little cover that goes on top of the Celestia, why it was designed for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we basically designed it so that no moisture goes into that chamber where the Celestia is sitting, and so that you also don't have anything kind of like obstructing the LED itself. And also just, it really does look beautiful. We put a spiral pattern on that, and especially when it's dark and it's nighttime and you're having that experience, it's going to be one of your favorite things to just watch, especially as you inhale and the LED, the Celestial will get brighter because we have a pressure sensor in there.
Excellent. Next are the just quickly, and then I'll give it right over to you, Mike. We have these 3 ports that you're seeing all around the system. For me, I'm smoking with what we call an upward purge. That is completely optional. You do not need an upward purge, but it's very, very recommended. So I have 2 adapters here, two purge adapters here, or whatever you like to call them, that are fully blocked. So these ports are completely covered and sealed, so that my smoke only goes up in the upward purge. Then I'm using here our hose. This is our beautiful lightweight LSR hose, and we're going to plug it in very easily. Today we had a question from someone that they were using an adapter that comes with their hose. I'm going to give this question to Mike. Mike, what is the second adapter that usually comes with all Kaloud Aeolus hoses? Do you know?
So there are a total of 3 adapters. You have the one that you just used, and then just bump my knee. You have one, or for the the newer hoses, it's that one adapter. That's all I've gotten. For the bigger hoses, you have this one, and then there is another one that is I don't have. I can grab that real quick if you like.
This is my water level that I like to do, and then I'll show the camera the inner down stem. So we'll basically we'll just unscrew the 2.0 down stem from here, and then I'll show it to you in pieces. Here I have the IR filter, and then here I have an umbrella valve that's facing upwards. We'll just screw these on. This is how it's supposed to look, just like this. We'll then, really important, never ever ever take that little silicone piece that you're seeing on top. Never take that out. It's intentionally there. I'll screw it on the Calix, and then this is the upward purge, which I'll show in a bit. But really quickly, we're gonna screw this water and right into the system, and then easily put it on here. Find the entryway and close it. So now it's all ready. This is the upward purge, and I'd like anyone that wants to comment about the upward purge to say anything they have, if they've experienced it so far. I know, Matt, you haven't yet, but Reza, you want to talk a little bit about our upward purge, please?
Yeah, see, I mean, I personally always smoke with the upward purge. The upward purge is absolutely you're going to notice a difference. It is going to fully clear the system. So both the internal vessel, so the inner bowl, as well as the external chamber. It's really great. And actually, Pierre, while you're doing that, we had a couple of questions that came up. So while you're setting up what you've got, somebody asked. Well, there was one that was, have you ever tried e-cigarette juice on shisha? This is from MHMDTHX. I have never personally tried that. I don't think I would, just because there's a lot of stuff in e-juice that I don't necessarily want. I've never really been super into vaping, so it's not really something that I seek out personally. But Matt, Mike, Pierre, have you guys ever tried that?
About 20 years ago, yeah, when vaping first started, and that was like people were curious, and the vape world and the hookah world started to intertwine with one another back then in the heyday. But I also would not recommend that. The nicotine, especially in today's vape juice, the nicotine is different than the nicotine that's in what we're smoking, and
Right.
I wouldn't. They're made for different purposes, and I think
Right.
they should stick to their purpose.
Yeah, I'm a pretty firm believer in using a hookah as a hookah is intended, and I know that like you're able to do whatever you want with the things that you own, obviously, and stuff. But I'm a very firm believer in using the things that you have as a purpose for that purpose, and that's how I try to keep all my hookahs at all time. I use them for smoking my hookah tobacco, and that's how I use it myself. I do know that it is a common thing, especially overseas, especially as well. There's a lot of people, I would call them like nicotine chasers. They're looking for that nick hit and stuff like that. And I think for a lot of people, when it comes to hookah, we're chasing things like flavors, and we enjoy clouds and different things like that. But I do know that there is a world that people do experience and do enjoy that kind of stuff. But I am a firm believer in use a hookah as a hookah, smoke an e-cigarette or a vape and stuff as intended, if that's what you're looking for and stuff. You're going to get a better experience when using it for the way that they're meant to be experienced, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's another question in here, Pierre, before I pass it over to you, which was, is there a difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0 systems? Mike, you've had a pretty good run experiencing both. Can you briefly talk about 1.0 and then what the difference is with 2.0?
Sure. Mechanically, it is different when it comes to kind of the down stems on whether it's the Altheria or the Calix. The down stem of the 1.0 kind of looks like this. It's just a tad longer, not by much, but when they're actually put into their respective parts, which the 1.0 would use an adapter like this that goes in, and then the 2.0 will actually screw into for the Calix here, and then on Matt's you see the top part there. This actually screws in.
I noticed that when I was setting it up for the first time that it's mechanically different, like you said, yeah.
And then
Completely different.
what was that, Pierre?
Yeah, it's completely different, and it upgrades. A lot of people think that our 2.0 systems require you to buy a whole new hookah. Any cloud system is a long-term investment. So if you have a 1.0 Calix refers to the small ones, and a lot of people are asking how to order and where to get them from and how much. All of that information can be found with worldwide shipping on cloud.com. We'll try to pin a comment so everyone can easily find it. But these are called Calixes. The Altherias are what you're seeing in Matt's stream. Matt, can you just point at your hookah, please? Just in case there's some new people that don't know who Matt is. And that's an Altheria, and so that's Matt. and both of them could be upgraded from 1.0 to 2.0. I'll give the mic back to Reza. You were going to say something.
No, I think Mike was going to continue. Mike, did you have more you wanted to add?
Just for the upgrade, this was actually the old or the 1.0 for this, and it just pops out of this, and you put the 2.0 in there. The other thing is the experience is different, and it's very hard to articulate the experience. You guys can't taste what I'm smoking, and you can't feel what I'm smoking either. The 2.0 is smoother, but you still have like some resistance. It's not like it's a completely open pipe where it feels like you're breathing or something like that. But the experience is just hard to articulate. But there is a difference, and the 2.0 it's smoother, and it really is an upgrade in every sense of the word, while still maintaining that the 1.0 is still a good system. It's not like if you have a 1.0, you're missing out on a good experience. But the 2.0 it is an upgrade.
Was the upgrade worth it in your mind, Mike?
Yeah. I noticed yeah, I do. Very much so. There are some things that the 2.0 it does do better. I will smoke for 2 hours on my Calix, and there will be no condensation that even drips down whatsoever. Like this stays. There's on 1 point system you'll see streaks sometimes, and that does not happen with the 2.0 system. Even when I'm smoking like insanely hot, it doesn't happen, which is amazing.
Matt, I know you just got your 2.0 upgrade, I think yesterday, so you haven't had as much time as Mike with it. Matt, what do you think about the difference between the 2.0 and the 1.0 systems?
So far, the biggest thing that I've noticed, I do think it is a little bit smoother. It's not, I wouldn't say that it's like leaps and bounds smoother in any way from at least this first initial smoke that I'm having right now. It is a smoother session overall. I do think that I can notice that. Overall, the biggest difference that I'm noticing from the entirety of the setup is the versatility of it, just allowing for a little bit more in what you're capable of doing with it. When you had the old one in place, you were not limited, but you were definitely in a position that you used a very specific type of bowl that you were smoking with, where this one opens up that variety to all the bowls that you might have in your collection.
Nice. I can tell you in general, the general feedback is that it is a true upgrade. I mean, like, people are noticing a significant difference in the smoke quality, and I think it really comes through if you have a 1.0 and a 2.0 system next to each other, or if you've smoked with the 1.0 for a really long time and then you put on the 2.0, you're immediately going to notice a difference. We didn't want this to be just like an aesthetic improvement. We wanted it to be something that people would really feel like it deserves the title 2.0. It's not just like a 1.2 type of thing. So I hope that does come through in time for you, Matt, and Mike. Would you agree with that, Mike? Is that your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't feel like the 2.0 has limitations on it. I can use any bowl. The bowl port on here fits any bowls. The tray is nice. It is a. Yeah, I do. I agree.
Guys, we have a comment from, really quickly, we have a comment from Alexander where he says the 2.0 is much smoother, lower upper draws. I have heavy draw, so I didn't necessarily need that, but it's been a game changer for my guests who are new to hookah and are enjoying much bigger clouds. Is phenomenal. Thank you for that, Alex.
I saw a comment on here as well that said something about preferred way of packing a bowl comparatively to a ceramic or a clay, and I just wanted to point out that ceramic and clay are actually the same thing. A ceramic bowl is a clay bowl is a ceramic bowl. In hookah, we have a lot of nomenclature that we like to use when it comes to things like either dark leaf or blonde leaf or molasses or black strap molasses and stuff. But a lot of these things are actually very similar in the way that they are presented, created, or made, and the way that we use them as well. So if you're doing something particular that you like with your quote-unquote ceramic bowls, you can do the same thing with your clay bowls, because once again, ceramic and clay are the exact same thing technically.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think, every bowl is kind of like got its own sweet spot. I always say to people, there's a physics to smoking hookah, which is like, you need the HMD, you need the bowl, you need the charcoal, the system itself. But then everything after that there's a kind of art to it. So how you're going to pack, for example, like a Cosmo bowl or a Hookah John bowl or Alpaca or Ola or any of these other bowls that are out there, it's really going to change. You're going to have to change your pack method a little bit. You're going to have to play around with that and find your kind of comfort zone. But once you find it, I can tell you that our systems will be the best. They will just blow you away in terms of the flavor that they're going to provide, the smoke output, and above and beyond that, I think the cleanliness of it. You're just not going to feel the heaviness in the chest. You're not going to necessarily feel that same kind of like hookah hangover that sometimes can occur.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that a lot from using the active charcoal filter. That's one of the biggest things that I've embraced so very much, actually, in the way that I've been smoking towards the end of last year as well as the beginning of this year and stuff, is using that active charcoal, these filters that you're able to use with both the ones that you can pop onto any hookah as well, which I actually have a video on my YouTube channel. Yes, I'm going to use this platform to plug my own stuff as well. Morning Hookah, youtube.com/Morning Hookah or Instagram Morning Hookah. But these,
and we'll definitely link to it as well. But
yeah, these active charcoal filters have really changed the way that I enjoy hookah, and I can't say enough good things about them. In combining this with the HMD system and stuff has just been something that I've really enjoyed so very much. I love the fact that these are not stuck on the hookahs that you guys sell, but you actually have them as well available so that you can put them onto down stems and you can take them with the hookahs that you already own or enjoy. I do think that getting a Kaloud system is going to be a very usable and something you're going to enjoy. Like Pierre said, it is an investment. You can do a lot of things with them, obviously, but having the versatility to be able to use these sorts of charcoal filtration systems with your current hookahs as well, with your guys' portable or attachments, if you will, I think is a really positive thing, and it's something that has really changed the way that I enjoy smoking hookah.
100%. Yeah, I will say this, that like I've been smoking now for 25 years, and the charcoal filter really came out of my personal desire to continue our mission of making hookah as harmless as possible. It's never going to be healthy, but we can mitigate the harm, and I think that the charcoal filter does such a good job of pulling the ultrafine particles and things like that out of the smoke, and it's going to change the flavor. You're going to notice less of the charcoal flavor, and you're going to notice more of the pure flavor associated with the tobacco flavors that you pack. And obviously there are some people out there who they just don't want to use the charcoal filter, which is also fine. The filter is removable. And so you can, smoke sometimes without the filter, sometimes with, or however you prefer.
Yeah, I'm really happy about the fact that the filter doesn't add any extra restriction. I mean, it does technically add restriction because there is something there that you are pulling through. But I'm saying that as a overall usability, it's not going to be it's not going to be enough of a difference that you're not going to want to use it based upon that, in my opinion.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you, Matt. I do want to just really quickly come in and say, welcome, Dutch Master. Welcome all of you that are joining us. There is a really, really important question that comes in from someone by the username called Naked Republic. Two questions, actually, or one comment and one question. So one comment is they experienced some slight condensation in their 1.0, and they want to know if that has been resolved. And then they also ask, is there a size difference in the Ayara filter replacement for the Iltheria 1 and the Iltheria 2.0? Those are really good questions and concerns, both of them. Would anyone want to tackle them or talk about them?
I would just say, yeah, the 2.0 systems have switched to the ball filter. They both have, in terms of surface area, the same amount of activated carbon. One is taller and one is shorter. And so we switched the 2.0 system to the taller filters, and it seems to be working incredibly well. I'll let somebody else answer the other question if they want. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and that's a really nice comparison of the two.
And then, so wider goes with the 1.0 system, and then the taller goes with the 2.0 system.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
These actually have, and I didn't know this until Cloud told me, these have the same amount of carbon in them. So it's not like this one works better than this one. They have it's basically the same. It's just different shapes, and that's important. That's something that I didn't know either until I talked about it. So.
Yeah, I will say about condensation that condensation is something that really depends on your experience and how you smoke. But I personally do not experience condensation. I know it's something that a few talk about. 2.0 has a lot of improvements in condensation for sure. And then we always say a little bit of water goes a long way. So traditional hookah sessions require a lot of water. A lot of the filtration happens in the Ayara carbon filter, not really the water, but the water going very little would prevent condensation and water splash in any of the systems. So I would recommend you watch our official tutorial videos by Cloud, which always recommend the right amount of water, but you can play with it. And then the 2.0 systems have seen a great improvement in draw, a great improvement in condensation, a great improvement in overall sessions, and most importantly, it's actually the longevity of the session. So during our last live stream, which happened exactly a month ago to the dot, we actually had almost a 2-hour live stream and then 30 minutes after, and I barely touched my system, barely touched my poles, and I could not usually do that with my configuration and the flavors that I smoke on a 1.0. So we don't like to make claims as a brand. I think it's very important for people to have their own experiences because it's very subjective. But we believe that if you like the 1.0, you're going to love the 2.0. And then the ashtray is one of the coolest additions to the systems that you see here, but also the upward purge. I'd like to really quickly, before I give you guys back the mic, talk about the upward purge. It was one of the best-selling products that everyone wanted, and it was very limited, so it was really difficult to get your hands on an upward purge. We've now made it easier and less expensive or less costly for you to upgrade to an upward purge because you don't need a full-on new system. You're using the same exact chamber. You're simply just purchasing that little piece on top. That goes a long way. And then welcome, Parmeet, welcome everyone that's joining us. And
Hey,
again,
Bob.
a friendly reminder, you can always shop everything that you see on the screen right now on cloud.com. So we would love to answer all your questions, but it's really difficult to answer all the questions about pricing. But if you take a screenshot of the system you like, you can go and match it online. There are bundles and there are multiple products. And then this refers to the new clay bowls in short. And then Mike, could you please point at your bowl? That one is called a tall bowl. They're both the same material. There's two different ones, Chi and Dao, red clay and black clay, and they come in two sizes, short and tall. And with that, I'll give the mic back to you guys.
I really like the red clay bowls a lot. I think that they hold heat just really efficiently for the entirety of the session. I remember when you guys were first bringing these out and testing them, and I was just really awestruck at how well they work. This is my biggest compliment that I feel like I can say to a bowl is that it's the first one that I reach for when it comes to smoking. After I clean
Nice.
everything and I'm ready to start my very first bowl of the week or whatever the case may be, this is the very first bowl that I reach for. Like, that's why I'm smoking this right now, is I got everything cleaned, organized, and set up. And as soon as I was going to set up to do this live, this was the very first bowl that I grabbed, was my red clay bowl.
That is a huge compliment. I love that.
For me, when it comes to the bowls, a lot of people know I don't really use funnel bowls. I technically use Turkish or Egyptian bowls. The way that I have figured out how to explain what the Cloud Funnel Bowls is, this experience on the Calix has the same flavor that my Turkish bowls offer me, which is that in the hookah world, I don't want to say it's accepted, but a lot of people feel that funnel bowls will smoke a little cooler but have a little less flavor, while Turkish are a little stronger but they have a little more flavor. This mirrors an Egyptian bowl more so than any other funnel. I've got, I don't know, 30 funnel bowls, and this is, if I'm going to use a funnel, this is the one that I will use. This one or the the bowl that Pierre is using, the red core G. That bowl it tastes like I'm using an eggy bowl.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that is a huge compliment. I know how much. I mean, Mike, you've been smoking for how many years now?
Long time, almost as long. You said 25 years. I'm like I'm not far behind you.
Nice, nice. And Matt, how about you?
18 years. 18 years.
18 years. Yeah, and Pierre, you're over 10 years as well. You're like 15 years, I think, right?
Yeah, almost 15 years. And a lot of experiences. And Dutch
Well, so
Master
between,
is
between,
saying,
between the three of us, we have like almost half a century of experience. So yeah, it's a fair amount. Yeah.
got some compliments coming in from Clouds in the Six. I like the built-in grommet. Dutch Master is saying Cloud is pushing innovation, delivering futuristic products that set the standard. Thank you very much. And then there is a very good question, because we're not here to just say cute stuff. We're here to have conversations, answer questions, and debate things. What's the difference between cloud bowls, especially the clay ones, and just traditional bowls elsewhere? I'll start really quickly with a 10, second snippet. The clay bowls that we're using right now are porous, and it's, to me, every single time that I smoke them, I like to smoke repetitive flavors, 2, 3 same flavors. The taste in them gets better and better with time because of how porous they are.
Yeah.
I'll give the mic over to Rezo if you want to say something about it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. These bowls, we spent about 3 years developing them. Matt, you were there in the early phase of that, so you can attest to that. We've been testing these bowls for quite a while. We ended up ultimately, we had to find a really, really special clay for this. We intentionally did not glaze these bowls. We don't want that glaze there because we do want the flavor to lock in over time. It seasons the bowl over time, so we don't want anybody to use soap and a sponge to clean these. I personally just use my finger in water. I clean it, I dry it, and it's good to go. And in that way, it's very similar to a cast iron pan. So every time that you use this thing is going to pick up the flavor from all the other flavors that you're using over time, and it literally carries the memory of all of your sessions. And so the flavor is going to get more and more nuanced, more and more unique and better, as a matter of fact, over time. And it is a harder bowl, in my experience, to really burn tobacco. Which I love. This is both for the Chi, which is the red bowl that I'm using right now, as well as for the Dao, which is for the black bowl that I use quite a bit as well. And I'm alternating between the two. And we wanted to make tall and short bowls because some people, kind of like what Pierre is doing right now, they have the short bowl on there. It gives a slightly different aesthetic, and then we made the tall bowl so that you could just pick up the bowl and swap it out with another bowl anytime you want. So for a lot of the lounges, they prefer the tall bowl. A lot of home users, that it's the typical pattern is that I'm going to smoke one bowl and then watch a movie or whatever. It's perfect. You don't need to swap out the bowl or anything like that. It's going to be great.
I would say, from the perspective of somebody like me, who I would consider myself to be a bowl collector, it's one of the biggest things that I enjoy when it comes to hookah is the different styles of bowls that you can add to your collection. And I think with any sort of hobby or something that you're interested in being a part of, as you become more and more invested into it, adding these different types of experiences allow you to better suit what it is that you enjoy to the way that you want to enjoy it. And when it comes to smoking a Kaloud bowl over an alpaca, or all these many different brands of bowls that are out there, what you're going to get out of it comparatively to another one is not going to be something that is leaps and bounds different to everything else that's on the market out there. It's going to be something that you get to experience and put yourself into as you add it to your collection, as you start to use it more. And it's something that you get to become more invested in yourself as you decide what kind of experiences you want to have. That's what I love about the variety of bowls that are offered on the market as a general way. And then also in the world of just having, like, do you want to get a Kaloud bowl or do you want to get this bowl over here? If you have these bowls over here, adding a Kaloud bowl to your collection and then learning how to use that, that's half the fun of hookah. I think that we touched on it a little bit about how we enjoy packing bowls and stuff like that. Getting and learning the heat management to best enjoy the session that you're enjoying, however that might be, is something you get to enjoy more by adding a new bowl to your collection and then learning about that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We had somebody who commented about that they have the Alpaca and Cloud collab bowl. That's a great bowl. It's one of my personal favorites as well. And then somebody else asked, when they buy an Altheria complete system, does it come with everything? We do have bundles that will come with everything that you need out of the box. The only thing that's not included in that bundle is the upward purge, and that is an option. So you're absolutely able to upgrade and get the upward purge as well.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for showing that. Just to be clear to everyone that is asking about the glass, these new bowls are completely made from a very special, rare clay. These are not glass. We have many different classes and collections of bowls. This new one that we're talking about does pay homage to a lot of the traditional bowls that you love and smoke. There is no glass in these new ones. It's exactly as you see on the screen right now on multiple streams. And then we do have a very important question. The question is, if I have currently a 1+3 and I love it or I like it, but the issue that I'm having is it's a little bit too deep, and so on some mason bowls it touches my tobacco. Is there anything I can do about that? It's a great question that I don't have the answer to. Gents, do we know?
I would recommend packing it lower. I mean, here's the thing about hookah that I think sometimes we get in our own heads about, and I will say that I definitely have done this because many years I smoked with just tinfoil and a apple on top provost. That's the way that I was so used to smoking. So when I started going into the new systems of using the Cloud HMDs and stuff, is I had to take the time to learn how to pack a little bit differently. And when it comes to some bowls that are a little bit more shallow, if you're looking to experience it with the One Plus, you are going to want to smoke it a little bit lower. And the nice thing about packing it a little bit lower is you're saving a little bit of tobacco. Depending on the bowl that you're using, you can really benefit from that as well, because you can get the same sort of session that you're already enjoying, that you've been doing it in a certain way, but still getting that while also using less tobacco as well. These HMDs are made with a very high quality metal. They are going to distribute that heat very nicely, and that heat is going to allow you to enjoy it in a way that is just like the other bowls, just by taking the time to experience and tinker with it and using a little bit of a lower pack. If you're saying that, hey, when I pack this, it's a little bit high and I'm touching the tobacco, I'm going to say the obvious and just say pack it a little bit lower. That's what I've experienced a little bit. I don't know if Mike, who's been around a long time and has maybe done things a little bit differently as well, did you have any other tips for that?
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways to pack bowls, and you have no contact, you have nub contact, and then some people there's even full contact.
Yeah.
To me, well, the way that you pack a bowl is really important. What supersedes that a little bit, I think, is your heat management with your HMD. If you like to smoke a little light, and when there's any type of contact, it's going to be a little bit of a stronger smoke, and you can actually use a little less heat, and that can kind of compensate for maybe a little contact. For me, contact does not result in a session that I can't enjoy. I just might have to, depending on how I want to smoke, I might have to adjust my heat a little bit. Maybe I'll use one less coal. Maybe I'll use one less coal, but then I'll use the lid, which is really nice to have. It's trying to find a nice balance between how you like to smoke. Matt touched on that. There are so many different bowls, and there's so many different ways that we all enjoy this hobby. Sometimes somebody can show you and tell you that, hey, no contact, how to do it, and it might not be what you're looking for, and that's okay. And then for some people, they'll be like full contact, and that's not for you either. So a little contact, I think, is okay. Maybe just adjust the heat a little bit.
Yeah,
I think Riz Clouds. Hi, hey Riz, how's it going, man? Riz had a very good question. He said, not sure if this was answered, but are both bowls made from the same type of clay? No, they're not. They are both very rare, kind of like difficult to source clay, but they're not the exact same clay. So they do have some slightly different heat profiles. I would actually ask Mike how he likes to use the dark bowl, which is the Dow, and how he likes to use the red bowl, which is the Qi. And then one other thing I would just say before I hand it off to Mike is that we also intentionally made the bowls with a 15-gram capacity as well as with a 30-gram capacity. So we do have the deeper bowls, which work really well with the Citra thermal diffusers that we've created. But also we have the more shallow bowls, which are fantastic for people who are living in markets that the tobacco tends to run a little bit more expensive because of taxes and things like that. But with that, Mike, what is your kind of like preferred use scenario for the dark and for the red bowl?
All right, so disclaimer, both of the bowls smoke all the different types of tobacco really well. If you decide to get a Dow, it doesn't mean that what I'm about to say means that you can't enjoy it this way. And same with the red Qi,
Yeah.
it's still gonna end up performing really well. For me, with the dark bowls, the Dow, I feel that it smokes dark leaf a little better because it can take a little more heat than the red clay one. And the red clay to me is a little more versatile in what it smokes, whether you smoke long leaf or dark leaf or cigar leaf, whatever it may be, it tends to have just a little bit of a wider margin on what to find that really sweet spot of heat management. But again, it's one of those things where it's such a nuanced difference that I almost, that's why I did the disclaimer. Both bowls are going to end up smoking long leaf really well. Both bowls are going to smoke dark leaf. If you smoke hotter, Dow can really take some heat. Like I tested it out and I did something where like I would never actually smoke with 6 coals ever. Like I wouldn't recommend it at all. I tried it out and I was able to smoke it. It didn't taste bad, and it wasn't one of those things where I just tasted coals, but it could tank that heat. It could do it. I couldn't finish the bowl because that's just way too much heat, but the flavor was still good. So the Dow can really tank heat, but the red is just kind of like that utility tool. It's that Swiss Army knife type thing.
I just want to touch on the Citra real quick because you had brought it up and you had said it, and this has become just something that has become a everyday. When I use a bowl that isn't one of these core bowls and stuff, I really enjoy the versatility of these because when you have a bowl that is a little bit deeper, if you're using an eggy or a Syrian style bowl as Mike likes to use and stuff, I have just loved the ability to use these. One, it's going to take up so much, it takes up room, it does, so it means that you're going to use, once again, less tobacco. This is the economy of our times, and it is nice to be able to save a little bit of tobacco. I know every one of us, regardless of the situation you might be in, will always want to save tobacco if possible, and to be able to use a bowl this is a deep bowl. It really is a very deep bowl overall and stuff, and to be able to pack this the way that I enjoy packing, especially Tangiers, and I would, pack it differently in a Egyptian style bowl comparatively to a funnel bowl and stuff, but to have the versatility of using it such as a funnel bowl really gives me a lot of versatility in it. And these are a heat diffuser. This will take that heat that you're putting into it, and because of there's 3 different styles, there's metal, there's ceramic, and there's glass, they will diffuse heat differently. I prefer to use the ceramic one. That's the one that I like the most when it comes to the way that it diffuses heat. Also, the metal one is really sharp, Reza. I don't know who it is. I need to get a little bit of accident pay for it, because I have like nearly cut myself on the metal one. It is too sharp.
Really?
Man, it is.
Wow.
But I joke a little bit, but it is sharp. But the ceramic one I just absolutely adore. I just think that it's a fantastic tool. When it comes to hookah accessories, I really enjoy to use them as tools to enjoy a better session, and that's exactly what I get from the Citra. these are fantastic. If you have not tried the Citra and you enjoy using things like Syrian bowls and Eggy style bowls, highly recommend getting yourself a set of Citras because you're not gonna regret it. I promise you that.
The Citras, and I've loved them for a long time. And I have sent out Citras to people because I'm such a firm believer in them. Because, as you said, you can use them on so many different bowls. And I did a video on Citras, and the way that I explain them, while they are not as influential as what Ford did with a car, the Citras, there's a saying that apparently Ford said. He didn't actually say it, but it's associated with them. He said, if I gave the people what they wanted, I would have built a faster horse. The Citras are that. They are something that is an invaluable tool to have in your collection. I've sent them out to people because I love them so much that I just want people to have them and start using them because I do love them. I love them.
And yes, you can use the Citra in both a funnel style bowl and a Eggy style bowl. It just depends on the depth of the bowl. Of the bowl that this one is right here, this is the Kaloud Lotus and the Alpaca team up that they did, the collaboration. This is a deep bowl overall, so it is something that works very well with the Citra. Once again, it takes up room. It allows you to diffuse that heat, obviously, and stuff. And then this is a Kolos bowl. I call it my Yoshi bowl just because of the colors and stuff like that. It's dinosaur themed in my opinion. And yeah, it will fit inside that as well. So as long as you have a bowl that is deep enough, then you're definitely going to be able to use it. I don't use it for my core bowl because my core bowls I think are the perfect amount of depth to it, so I don't use it for those. But when it comes to some of these other bowls, I do use the Citra depending on which one I'm using at the time.
Yeah, that's a really...
Oh, Pierre, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Could you please show the Citra demo again on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Instagram camera, please.
So this is the this is the Kaloud and Alpaca bowl. It is a deep bowl overall, and it's black, so I'm sorry about that. But it does fit right inside there, and it does offer you some good usage for it because of how deep this bowl is, because it does have the rim so that you're able to use the HMD with it as well. But it fits it just very nicely. And then when it comes to this other bowl that I have, this Yoshi bowl as I have deemed it, it is also a deep bowl as well, so I'm able to stick that right in the middle. And then when I'm packing the bowl, I just keep one thumb on top of it, and then I use a fork because I don't want to get my fingers dirty. And I just scoop it right on the sides of it as I'm packing the bowl as well.
Excellent.
I do. I love the Citras. I love them.
All right. Next question is the hookah itself, apart from being redesigned and having better materials, does the 2.0 have actual performance improvement? This is not an official statement, but early testing that we've been doing on it have shown a great performance improvement. Earlier, I alluded to the length of the session being longer. Another really interesting performance improvements, since previous 1.0 systems is the amount of smoke that you're able to create. This is not an official claim, but that's why I'd love to open the conversation. Matt, you've just started using the 2.0, so maybe you don't have enough information about it. But Reza and Mike, you want to share a little bit about what you believe could be some improvements in 2.0 in comparison to previous sessions in 1.0?
I'll let Mike go first.
You can, with the Calix, you can absolutely rip it. I can hit this thing as hard as I want, and I will get great flavor, and I will get fantastic clouds. You guys are seeing it live, like great clouds. I think the flavor is, I don't want to say substantially better, because the flavor is still good in the 1.0, but the flavor is better in 2.0. And that's not just the Calix, that's the Altheria that Matt is using as well. I think the flavor is slightly better. It really is an upgrade. If you could break down all the different sections of what people look for in smoking, they have all been improved by the 2.0 system in comparison to the 1.0.
Yeah, I'll take it a step further, and I will make the official claim. It is better in every way. And I would say not just in comparison to the 1.0. I know I'm the founder of the company, so take this however you want to take it. But I truly do believe that the Chrysalis systems overall are just the best pipes on the market. They perform exceptionally well. They are a different smoking experience than what you might be used to. And I think for anybody, we always tell people that pick up one of our systems to compare it with their old system. And there's a reason why people switch over and then they kind of never go back, and that is that these are better systems. They're smoother, they're cleaner, they're tastier. They just provide a phenomenal session without, especially because they don't require as much fumbling around with it while you're trying to get to that perfect smoke. Which is another thing we consistently work on, is making things easier to use, easier to clean, easier to assemble, all of that. So I think that this is really, with the 2.0, we've hit a kind of like a new inflection point where I think this will be the gold standard kind of everywhere.
I've done the. Oh, go ahead.
No. Thanks, Reza. Just want to add really quickly that the 2.0 system is available also on Caloud.com. For those asking, it is available on there, and then we do ship internationally, including India and Brazil. You can now get your products shipped there, and there are a lot of questions that come in. So if we don't answer your question, please do DM it to the Cloud account. And I think the best place for support, just so that your question is not gone unanswered, is on email, to an email called interact@cloud.com, which we will also write in the chat shortly. But just to know, if we can't answer your question, we apologize. And then over back to you, Mike.
I was just going to say, I've set up 4 hookahs, all with the same bowl. 2 were Cloud hookahs and 2 were just other hookahs. And the Eltheria, the flavor is the best flavor that I had. And it was the same bowl across all hookahs. So it wasn't
Nice.
like I had, different slightly different pack methods, or the heat was different or something like that. The flavor is just, it's better.
And coming from somebody who has over 2 decades of smoking experience, I think that's a really, really high compliment. So thank you for that, Mike.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me, actually. Oh, go ahead.
And I'd just like to say, commenting on what Pierre said about if you don't have your question answered, I know myself, I live in nowhere's land when it comes to hookah, especially and stuff. So if there's ever any questions or things you'd like to bring up to me, I'd love to talk to you about hookahs. It's something that I have a strong passion and hobby for, something I've been doing for a long time as well. And if you want to continue the conversation, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I enjoy talking hookah at all hours of the day. The one thing that's wonderful about the internet is we are capable of having long form conversations over long distances because of the wonder of Instagram DMs and all that kind of different stuff. So feel free to drop a message to me anytime. I'm sure Mike is the exact same way. We love talking hookah. I just recently went to New Jersey, and I knew that it was semi close to where Mike might be. So I reached out to him. We weren't able to hook up this time. Mike, I'm going back to New Jersey in February, so I'm going to definitely see if we can try to figure out something closer to that time frame. But immediately we talked about hookah and stuff like that, because that's something that brings us all together. Hookah, in essence, is a community-driven thing, and this is a very tight-knit community overall, and we enjoy speaking to new people who are getting into the hobby, as well as people that have been smoking for 20 plus years as well. So feel free to drop comments at any time.
Well said, Matt. We had somebody who asked if the 2.0 systems were the ones that we used at the Cloud event that we had back in September in Los Angeles. They were not, unfortunately, available at that event. We had the new bowls, the Core, the new Samsara's Core Chi and the Samsara's Core Dao were there, but unfortunately the 2.0 systems were not there. So anybody who was at that event, for the most part, they didn't get an opportunity to test those. But they obviously are available now, and we promise that they are a significant improvement upon the 1.0 system.
Thank you, Reza. Another question from Ulfat. He or she says, hello from London. What flavors are you smoking and what brand? Welcome. I'm currently smoking a Blonde Leaf Apocalypse which is lime, cactus, and mint. I personally prefer blonde leaf, but I know it's someone said happy Tangiers Tuesday. Some of us are smoking Tangiers, and we love to smoke Tangiers. What about you, Matt? What are you smoking?
Well, I am smoking Tangiers because that is the majority of things that I do enjoy smoking. And today I'm smoking cream soda from Tangiers as well as some cane mint thrown in there as well. How about you, Mike?
Normally I have these complex mixes, but for streams and stuff like that, I like to keep it nice and simple. And I just have sapphire dried plum, which is just it's one of the flavors I can smoke solo any time of the week.
Nice.
And of course, Reza is smoking double apple. I know that to be the.
I literally think it might be 2 decades or more since I've smoked double apple. I'm sure people have like packed it every now and again. I take a couple of puffs, but double apple, as anybody knows, is like my kryptonite. I can't. I'm personally, and I mentioned this at the beginning of our stream, that I want to also explain how I packed so that you guys know. I did a very thin layer of trifecta Earl Grey on the bottom. And then Apocalypse Jungle, half Apocalypse Jungle, which is a blonde leaf, and half Apocalypse Hot Beirut, which is also a blonde leaf. And then on top of that, I put Tangiers Mango, Tangiers Grapefruit, and a little bit of must-have lemon lime, which has been just phenomenal. I love these flavors, the way that they play together, and the reason that I have them at different levels, kind of like stratifying them like a cake, layering them like a cake, is because like each flavor is expressed at a different point in my session and in a different way, and it's at this point I like kind of like a complicated expression when I'm smoking, and this is how I'm getting that consistently. It's really nice.
Guys, someone is asking, can an ice hose be used? It can definitely be used. You can use any hose you want, any bowl you want, any HMD you want, foil on these systems. And then the other question is there any difference between the glass versus plastic and the Ultheria? It's a very common question.
It's a very good question. Anybody want to take that?
Well, from a high level, plastic is obviously a porous material, so you can retain flavor in what it is that you're smoking if you're not taking care in cleaning it. And it can not result in damage, but it can result in porous. So that's just kind of the way that plastic works overall. Where glass is obviously not porous, it's a much more resistive material. So things like absorption and things like that are going to, just like what glass does, slide off of it, and you're not going to retain that as much. I would assume those are the biggest differences between plastic and glass.
I would just add in there that we use an extraordinarily high quality plastic. The Calix in front of me right now, all of the plastic is several years old, over 3 years old, and I just did the 2.0 upgrade on my Calix, and it's clean. It doesn't ghost because, to Matt's point, I'm very kind of like meticulous about keeping my gear clean. And so it will last a very long time and avoid that issue with ghosting, and just deliver great sessions every time. As far as the glass goes, I would say there is also an element of glass being better at cooling the smoke. So
Yes.
you will have a slightly cooler session with the glass. Condensation, as Pierre had mentioned earlier in the live, is not as big an issue. I think Mike and Matt would probably agree with that with the 2.0. But with the glass, it's even less pronounced. And again, I mean, condensation happens because of like temperature differentials and stuff like that. And so the glass is just much better at kind of like managing that.
I will add to that after you, Mike.
No, go ahead, Pierre.
I will just add to it that my personal experience, I smoke the Calix is plastic. I switch between the Calix and my plastic Ultheria, and we call it ultra plastic because it is a very, very high type of plastic that is used. So I'll tell you that the plastic Ultheria that I've been smoking for 3 years straight, a lot of smoking sessions, has thankfully not ghosted. I know risk clouds asked the question, which we'll get to right after this one, about flavor ghosting. But I'll say that personally, I can make the statement that I don't see much difference at all in my experiences between the ultra plastic and the glass. The good news is that it's not a shared experience. That's why we all have different opinions. But for me, the variable difference between ultra plastic and glass is so minor that to me it really just is aesthetics and what you want to smoke. But the importance of plastic is you don't want to purchase a system that is so beautiful and so valuable and then just break it. So that's a big reason why the plastic was designed, to have an investment that you could really, it could last you a lifetime. But my personal experience is that they're very, very, very similar in output and experience in the way that I smoke. Mike?
That's literally, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to mention
I,
durability.
Yeah, I was just going to add that a lot of people who purchase the glass upgrade, or people who purchase one of our wood elf area, which comes with both the glass and the plastic. The glass is there, and it's kind of like their go-to. And the plastic is the one that they'll use if they take their system someplace else, or alternatively, God forbid, if something happens to the glass, the plastic is there so that they don't miss a session while they're waiting for replacement glass.
I thought of a small thing with the Altheria and the 2.0, the difference in plastic and glass. I can't compare them side by side when it comes to 2.0 ultra plastic and the glass, but the glass seems to be pretty thick, and it's just a little harder for me to secure it than the 1.0 counterpoints, which I have the plastic and the glass for the 1.0, and they go in a little easier than the 2.0 glass. To the extent that, my dining room, my coffee table is, I don't want to say it's fragile, but I do not push down the glass on this to put it. I make sure I do it on a countertop, just because I have to use a little more force on it.
Yeah, and the glass on the new systems is about 5 millimeters thick, so it's pretty durable glass. Obviously it can break, but it is very durable glass. There was a quick question that I wanted to address, which I lost here. Pierre, do you have another question that you want to bring up?
Pierre stepped away, it looks like, but we do have a question in chat on Instagram that I'm noticing right now. He says, better to use foil than a heat management system and then coal, or is placing the coals directly in the Kaloud head better? This is something that I know that Dragonfly Mike has experimented with many times when he's gone through his different testing. In fact, I believe there's a blog post on the Kaloud website actually addressing this a little bit. So I think this would be a really good question for Mike to answer a little bit about. What is your opinion about using pure HMD on top of a bowl versus using foil and then using the HMD on top of a bowl?
So, for me, if you are using a HMD like a Cloud 1 Plus or a Cloud Lotus 1 Plus 3, where it's got the nubs, I don't use foil. If I'm using the Lotus 3, I love using foil with it. To me, while the 1.3 is kind of like the red clay bowl, where it's just extremely versatile and you're going to have a very consistent experience with the 1 Plus and no foil. The Lotus 3 and foil is, for me, the most flavorful experience when we're just talking about bowl and HMD, not like hookah or anything like that. If you take the Lotus 3 and foil, that is the best flavor I have experienced. The only thing about that is the Lotus 3 foil is a smoke that takes patience. Because you have a lot of metal and foil there, it takes, I've timed it 14 minutes for it to really be at that premium perfect temperature, compared to 5 to 10 minutes with no foil and a 1 plus 3.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. There was
Yeah.
another question that I saw, which was what kind of charcoal do we recommend? I can take this one. I would love to have everybody else chime in. I personally really love Hookah John's titanium charcoal. I think it's pretty consistent, very good. So that's the one that I would use. And then typically with Hookah John's charcoal, I'm using 3 cubes. Even here, I've got 3 cubes in there, or I had 3 cubes when I started. And you might have noticed I added a couple of cubes because we're close to an hour into my bowl now, or a little bit over an hour into my bowl. Mike, Matt, Pierre, any feedback on charcoal that you guys like?
Yes. I love to use cubes. Sorry, Matt. I love to use cubes. I usually always heat up 4. I believe they're 25 mm's, and then I always use 3 in my Cloud Lotus, and then I, add a 4th one later on. That's just my habit. I like to do it, and that's exactly what I did just now. And when it comes to brand, I don't necessarily have a favorite brand. I just think it really all depends on consistency of the batch, and that's something that we talked a lot about in previous conversations when it comes to different batches, different sessions. But yeah, there isn't a brand that comes to mind that I could recommend.
I've used a lot of charcoal from a lot of different brands, and I think the most important part of it is finding the heat temperature that you enjoy when it comes to the charcoal that you're using. I've used flats, I've used big cubes, I've used small cubes, I've used all different varieties of them, and the biggest important part is consistency, as it's already been said a couple of times. I think that when it comes to the coal market today, me, Mike, even Reza, maybe even Pierre there towards the beginning of his smoking sessions, like we are spoiled today in comparison to what we used to have to experience when it comes to charcoal. And it is an amazing field that we're able to, for the most part, go out and find a charcoal and be able to use it and not have to worry too much about it. The best charcoal, in my opinion, is always the charcoal you don't have to worry about. That's what makes a really good charcoal. When it comes to brands, if you are looking for any sort of recommendation, I think Hookah John is very consistent. He's been around for a long time. He knows the game very well, and I think that is important. I think Shaman makes a fantastic charcoal, both large and smaller cubes as well. Prestige Bubbles coals are a coal that I've used for a very long time, and I've even used other charcoal that I've had around and had decent experiences with, but the most important part, as it's been said, is consistency and experimenting a little bit, because charcoal does come in a little bit different temperature ranges at times, and finding the one that best suits your smoking style is definitely something that's very important. I believe very, very much so.
Yeah.
Guys, if we are able to move on to a comment from YouTube from someone called @itmatters7. They said, I love Cloud products but never owned a hookah itself. I was always curious on how hard it is to clean or maintain the hookah. Is it something you can set up for a quick session? We can't see the rest of your message, but that's so far the question. Anyone has anything to say about that question?
I'll pass it on to Mike and Matt. Yeah.
The 2.0 system, I think, is easier to clean. You don't have to take as much apart. For cleaning in general, warm water and a little dish soap is fine. I've actually, and I don't think this would be recommended, a little rubbing alcohol has gone a long way. I'm talking like about a teaspoon. I'll fill my sink with warm water, and then with the Calix, it'll be dish soap and just literally a teaspoon of rubbing alcohol, and it makes it look like it is brand new. I do not submerge the base. I just take a sponge and do that, and then I kind of shake it out. But that has the teaspoon of rubbing alcohol has, I mean, it looks brand new when I'm done with it.
I've owned my Cloud hookah for over a year now, and I will say that when I first got it, I did think, like, is this something that I want to, because I do care very much about my hookahs and cleaning them and taking as good a care as possible with them, obviously. And when you first look at it, it does look like it is a little bit more in comparison, but hookahs as a entity, as a thing, as an object, as a tool, are very simple machines at the end of the day. It's a negative pressure system that is allowing you to pull in the smoke from the tobacco that you're heating up with the charcoal. This is not any necessarily more pieces. They come in different sizes, but if you look at the standard regular hookah, especially today's modern day and age hookah, where it comes with everything that unscrews on all these different components, and you have to unscrew all of it if you're going to clean it correctly and stuff. If you're talking about something as simple as an Egyptian or a KM or something that takes literally no effort because you're just doing a stem clean, in which case I would still say that's quite a bit of effort because you want to use the hose or the proper cleaning tools to make sure you're cleaning it, correctly. Then you're once again, like I would say, in the year of owning this is no different in cleaning than it is any other hookah that I own. It is a different shape than those other hookahs, so it might feel different at first, but this is not any harder to clean than any other hookah that you own, in my opinion.
I would just add something to that really quickly, Matt, which is that a lot of the newer kind of like more engineered hookahs that are kind of like the next step beyond like what a Kaloud or KM would be, they have many components, and so you are talking about like unscrewing the heart and taking out the ball bearings, all those things to clean, and so there is quite a bit involved in a deep clean. And I would agree with Matt. I don't think our systems are any more complicated to clean in that regard. And in many ways, they might be even easier to clean. Because, for example, our umbrella valves, you just kind of like shoot water through there. And as long as there's no debris like tobacco or something in there, it's going to be done. So there's an ease to the cleaning process that I think most people are intimidated by when they first look at the system.
Yes, I can actually remember vividly talking to you initially after first purchasing or after first getting my system and saying like, I don't know, this seems like it's a little bit different to clean and stuff, and that was something that was definitely, I would say, a noticeable thing when I first got it. But after using it and after cleaning it and after just going through the normal time of using it, it to me it's no different at all. Like it is something that I noticed at first, but it is not something that I've ever thought about again prior or after those conversations that we had. It really isn't.
You develop a muscle memory. It's just it becomes very quick and easy, and in some ways for me very satisfying. Right, once I'm done cleaning the system, it feels very good.
Yeah, I love having a new system to smoke with. It's amazing how I believe personally that hookah is very ritualistic in the way that we prepare them, prep them, and smoke them. And cleaning is another part of that. Throw in a podcast, get your sink with hot water, and start cleaning. And honestly, it's done before you even think about it again in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Sometimes where you find yourself packing a bowl and you don't even realize you're packing a bowl, and then you're sitting down and smoking. It's such a ritual.
Exactly.
I have a very important question too. Someone said, I'm in between picking a system. Can you please help me? Can you help me tell the main difference between the Ultheria and Calix? First of all, thank you for your interest in getting a system. That's awesome that you're upgrading to Cloud's crystalline systems. It's a very good question, because I would say get both eventually, but because they're very different. One of them is versatile and you can travel with and you can move around. I like my Calix because I can move it around very easily. I like my Ultheria because it's a statement piece. It stays wherever it is. It's the moment. It's a beautiful statement wherever you put it. And very side note, but I went earlier to get this really cool rotating base right here, which you can put your Ultheria on, and then it rotates very nicely. So the Ultheria is kind of a statement if you want to have a centerpiece, whereas the Calix, which is this one, is more of your travel buddy, your versatile hookah that you can get really good output from wherever you are. So it depends on the setting, but those are the reasons why both are important. If you're a fan of glass, get the Ultheria, because the Ultheria will have a glass upgrade. Right now, the Calix is only made out of ultra plastic and silicone and stainless steel, as you see in this one. And that is what I have to say about that. What about you, Reza? What do you think about this question?
I mean, look, the Ultheria is very much like a slightly more affordable version of the Monarch, and so you are going to see a quality uptick with the Altheria versus the Calix. But we engineered the Calix so that the difference between the two is not significant. I mean, you are going to notice a difference, but it's not the type of thing where I would say that you're going to be like, oh my God, like I made a mistake. I think at the end of the day, Pierre's point is super valid, and I saw Mike, moving around his Calix. The Calix is made for portability. It's made for you to be able to kind of like take it around wherever you want to take it. And like Pierre pointed out, the Altheria is kind of like an heirloom centerpiece. You just like, people will leave it on their coffee table or wherever, and it's a display piece, it's a conversation piece, and then when it's ready to use, it's going to blow your mind in terms of the output.
I love how Pierre is a salesman at heart. I think that's very fun. Just get both, obviously. I think that there is I think that the biggest question for you to ask yourself is, what are you doing when you're smoking hookah? Where do you like to enjoy smoking hookah at? Do you travel often and you have this hookah that you're going to be taking with you, or is this a hookah that is going to be staying in one place? I think the Calix, as it's been mentioned and as it's obviously being shown, is a smaller hookah overall. It is something that is easier to travel with overall. If you're not worried about travel, then I would definitely recommend getting something like this instead. I like larger hookahs. I like set piece type hookahs. I like these sorts of styles. But if you're someone that does care about travel, hookah versatility in that respect, then there's a difference between those two, in my opinion. But as Reza said, obviously these hookahs are engineered to both be fantastic in the way that they operate, so you're not going to be missing out on smokability based on the fact that you choose one or the other.
Yeah. I did notice another question that there are two questions that I definitely want to answer, and I'll answer the first one really quickly. Does it work with the XCA? That was very early in our conversation. Our systems will work with the XCA. The 2.0 systems will work with the XCA. And then the other question was whether Kaloud is going to have a two-hose system. Our Altheria, Calix, they can all be used as multiple hose systems, but the other people that are not smoking have to block their tip while the other people are smoking. We are working on an auto lock, which we believe will be released this year. Kind of like everything that we do, we want to make sure that it is an exceptional experience. We're never in a rush to put a product to market. It's not as important for us to be first to market as it is to be right in the market. And so I can promise you that if we do put out an auto lock system with multi-hose capability, it is going to be exceptional. And so we are working on it. It's been a very long process, but we're very close to a solution there as well.
I'm going to put on my salesman hat and just tell you, if you need more than one hose, you should buy two hookahs, because I do think that you get a better experience when you smoke a hookah per person overall and share a hose, because then you also get to share a conversation with that along the way. Make sure you pass the hose like this to be respectful at all times. But yeah, I'm joking purely. I think that having a dual hose system or a multi-hose system, if that is something that is needed for your lifestyle, is obviously fine and dandy. But I do enjoy a hookah person comparatively, in my opinion.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, Mike, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I also agree. I understand if you don't have a lot of money or something like that, you guys share a hookah. That's wonderful. It is a nice experience. I've done that plenty in my lifetime. But there's a thing about having your own in front of you. The bowl will smoke more consistently, and yeah, I'm a firm believer. If you can, have your own hookah.
And I also think, like, when you have multiple hoses on one bowl, it really there's so much heat being drawn into the system at the same time that I think it really will extinguish the bowl much more quickly. So that's just there's a trade-off, obviously, but there are people that, to everybody's point, they want the ability to share one pipe with multiple people at the same time without passing the hose, and we will find a solution for that.
We obviously really love hookah here.
Nah.
Yeah.
We do. And I think one of the last questions that we can answer today is someone saying, if you upgrade to the upward perch, can you use two hoses without purging out of one? So it kind of goes back to an upward purge doesn't do anything other than improve your overall session, improve your draw, improve your flavor, improve everything really in your session. And it's this component right here. It purges up instead of the normal purges that you see at the edge of the calyx or Iltheria. It doesn't technically change the functionality or unlock a new feature like adding another hose. Reza mentioned it earlier, you can add a second, sometimes actually even a third hose on the calyx, for example, if you wanted to. It's just that you'd always have to kind of plug it, what the other two people or the other person has to plug it. And then Matt and Mike both made a point that it's not really optimal. I mean, at that point, you're sacrificing part of the session. So we just spoke earlier about improving your session, having a really good session, and now it's going right back to you're gonna suffer when it comes to the quality of the session, specifically in the setting that it is set up right now today. Anything to add, gentlemen, on that question?
I think somebody said it really well in the comments where they said that, you know, two hoses tends to cook the bowl, and so yeah, that's a good way to kind of like summarize that.
When I smoked with my friend, she would sit on the couch next to me, and bowls that I would normally get like 2 hours out of, it would be like a 45-minute session, and it's not because she didn't even smoke that much. It was just that there is literally constant heat going when two people are on one bowl. Because that's what happens when you hit it. All that air rushes to those coals, it heats it up, and that's one of the major physics to what we're doing. And when two people are on one bowl, it really does smoke it significantly faster. Even with a Calix or an Eltheria, that's like beyond the nature of the system.
Someone is asking if they can get a special promo code for being loyal Cloud customers and attending this live session. We will actually break the rules, and yes, there will be a promo code that will only be available for 2 hours after this live stream. It's JAN13, so that's January 13th. JAN13. We'll put it in the live stream shortly. Thank you for attending. Obviously, we would love to answer more and more questions, but we do have a limited time. So I'd like to maybe pass it around for some closing remarks and or anything else that really comes up as an important question that you guys want to address that you didn't have a chance to address.
So I have a question that I'd like to pose to Reza and to Cloud as a general question, and this is kind of on the spot and stuff, so if you don't have an answer, I respect that as well. But I'm very curious about your opinion of electronic hookahs and the removal of charcoal in a general way and stuff. The time that I've been able to experience it and the things that I've seen from it so far, I'm very interested in it. I'm not going to go so far as say that is the future of hookah, but I do think that there is a place for it in hookah comparatively to what it was 5-10 years ago and what it looks like today. So I'm curious if Kaloud has any opinions or thoughts about e-hookahs, electronic replacing charcoal and stuff like that.
So the Kaloud was founded with the intention of creating an e-head. And so we've been working on it, I think, longer than any company that I'm aware of. So, you know, Kaloud as a company now is approaching its 16th anniversary. So that gives you a sense. And we've been working pretty consistently on heat management since the beginning. And so for us, it is very much something that we anticipate for the future, but to the point that I made earlier, it's not as important for us to be first in the market or even to grab a space in the market and put out a product that where you don't feel like deserves the Kaloud brand on it. And so it would be something that when we put it out to the market, I can guarantee you it's going to be better than anything you've ever experienced. The metric for us really is that it has to be equal to or better than charcoal consistently. And I don't know that it's there yet with anything that I've tried. And so for us, it's really important that we maintain the brand promise, which is that we're going to deliver quality, not just quality, but exceptional quality to the people that trust us. So I hope that answers your question, Matt.
It answers it in the most Kaloud way I could imagine.
Nice. All right, good. I'll take that as a compliment. I hope
It
was a
really is.
compliment.
It really is. It really is.
Good. Mike and Pierre, do you guys have anything?
Yeah, I just want to say that sometimes. Sorry, Mike. Sorry for interrupting. I'll just really quickly add to Matt, and then I'll give you the mic. The really interesting part about innovation, in my opinion, is that we are used to seeing innovation really quickly from a tech side. But if you really think about it, after a major leap in innovation happens, I mean, you know this more than anyone, Matt, it does take, I mean, it's incremental change over time. And I think part of the cloud promise with its like international influence is when you do something, you have to do it right. Otherwise, you could be turning off, people from the whole concept. So that's also very intriguing to kind of see what happens in that world. But the good news is compatibility. Reza commented on this earlier, but compatibility with all devices is very important because this is not supposed to be a guarded garden that says if you're not part of this, you can't use any cloud products. The goal is to be as compatible so that when you are investing in a cloud system, you can use it with whatever bowl you like. You could use it with whatever E head or whatever they're called, EHMD that you're using. The goal is to make it as compatible universally because that's how you're going to make, I mean, the consumer has to win, not the brand, not the other brand, not other, markets, but specifically the consumer has to be at the top of that pyramid so that they're always getting the absolute best experience and they have never, ever, no reason to leave the whole hookah smoking experience, which is something very, very important to me personally that I always think about is like how do we keep a community that is so beautiful growing and consistent? And I think you talked about it in your Ayara journey. Ayara is the carbon filter that Matt covered on. I think it's so important to be moderate with how you smoke and keep smoking rather than not and then do it a lot and then we never see you again because this is a really beautiful community and I'm personally really excited about us coming together more and more, right? It's not about people buying the 2.0, it's about us coming together, having conversations, connecting. That's the beauty to me, and I'm sure you guys share that, which is the reason why you're here.
Yeah. Mike, did you have anything you want to say in closing?
Not necessarily. I think you guys summed up the electric aspect really well. When Pierre was talking about the Celestia, you can actually change the colors to it. See, I have one right now, and it's orange. She's got purple, and there are a couple other ones. But there's also, and I'm gonna, I'll at some point I'll do a story or something. There is actually a rubber grommet or a silicone ring that you can put around the Celeste where that water protection type cap to protect it actually will almost like fit onto it. So if you see, I don't have the actual one, but if you see a odd shaped circular grommet, that's going to go on the light when you're setting it up, and it does actually it really fixes that lid that's on there really well when you're setting up the Calix. But other than that, thank you for having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's good to see you.
We love having you on. I'll just make one really quick, a couple of quick announcements. One of them is that as a team, we're really enjoying doing these lives. It allows us to connect with the community in a new way, and I'm sorry that we didn't do that more frequently in the years previous to this one. But this year, our plan is to have a pretty regular live schedule. Not every one of the sessions is going to be totally focused on hookah. We have some really interesting people that we want to bring into these conversations because so much of hookah is not just about hookah, it's about the connections that we make with other human beings. And I think the reason I fell in love with hookah is because it's, in my opinion, one of the best, maybe the best tool for connecting people because we're just there, we're present with each other, and I think that is meaningful, and that's kind of how we affect positive transformation in the world that we live in, and which we are all in our own ways stewards of. The other thing I would say is that the World Cup is coming up. It's going to start it's right around the corner, and so Kaloud is going to be announcing very soon a special kind of series of events around the World Cup. One of the things that we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing a giveaway of 2 tickets to the round of 32 in Los Angeles. For anybody who follows the World Cup, they know that that's the round right before the quarterfinals. You know, obviously nobody knows who's going to be in the round of 32, but probably it's going to be 2 very strong teams. And so we will be making the announcements around what that giveaway is going to look like. We're very excited for that. And like I said, we are looking to do some really cool stuff aside from the giveaway with the World Cup. I think the World Cup represents so much of the beauty of how different cultures, different nations come together and really celebrate something that everybody loves. So please keep an eye out for that. It's going to be very, very, very fun. And so with that, I would just say, you know, thank you to everybody who was able to join this live session. I know that you know, it's a little bit late in the evening for the people on the East Coast. So anybody who was able to join, thank you for that. To all of our friends that were able to join, you know, Parm, Dutch, Riz, everybody else who I may have forgotten to mention, Alex, everybody else, I'm really grateful to you guys for making the time to be here with us. And with that, I think we'll see you on the next live, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. I had a blast. It was good to see everybody. See you guys.